On Christmas Eve, my mom unwrapped the gift my daughter had made and said, "I don't take presents from kids who don't belong to this family." My daughter blinked twice, didn't even cry. Then, without missing a beat, my son stood up and said this, and my parents turned pale. I should have known Christmas Eve would be a disaster the second my mom called to remind me not to overdo it this year. That was code for, don't bring too much attention to my daughter. Don't let her forget she's not really one of us. She's 9 years old. Read everything she can get her hands on. Draws these little worlds in her sketchbook that make you forget a kid made them. She's everything I never knew I needed. And somehow, everything my parents decided not to accept. It's been 2 years since the adoption. 2 years of comments disguised as jokes, of side eyes, of being left out of family pictures. But I kept trying, kept thinking maybe they'd come around. We got to their house just before 5. My mom greeted Tyler with a hug, told him he looked so grown. She looked at my daughter and just said, "Hi, no name," not even a fake smile. My daughter spent a week making a scrapbook, page after page of memories. She'd even drawn my parents on the last page with, "Thank you for being my grandma and grandpa," written underneath. After dinner, we gathered around the tree. When my daughter shyly offered the scrapbook, my mom took it, flipped through the first few pages, then closed it. I don't take presents from kids who don't belong to this family. You ever feel the whole world tilt sideways? My daughter didn't cry. She just stood there, blinking twice. I stood up, hands shaking. But before I could speak, Tyler got up. "Then maybe you don't deserve presents from people who do belong to this family." His voice was quiet but sharp. "She's my sister. We chose her. That's more than what some people do with the family they're born into. If you can't see that, you don't deserve to be called her grandparents." The room froze. One of my nephews said, "He's right." Another cousin followed, then another. The kids were standing with mine. My parents just stood there, red-faced and stunned. I told my kids to grab their coats. We were leaving. Christmas morning was quieter, just the three of us. No pretending. By afternoon, my phone started buzzing. "My niece, we're coming over. What your mom said, we're not okay with it." Half the cousins showed up by 4. No parents, just them. They talked to my daughter, invited her into conversations. At one point, she giggled. First time I'd heard her laugh since Christmas Eve. The next day, I texted my parents, "We're doing New Year's at my place. Anyone who wants to come is welcome." Just silence. Then my sister texted, furious, said I'd ruined Christmas, that my son humiliated our parents. Not a single mention of what had been said to a child. I didn't reply. What I did was pull out a notebook. I wrote down every bill I'd been paying for them. Electricity, gas, cell phone, overdue fees. I canceled every single one. That money was going to my kids now. Exactly 19 days after Christmas, their lights went out. Their neighbor called me. "Your parents' house has been dark for a week. Yesterday I saw your father running an extension cord to the car." My sister called, furious. "You let the power get turned off? Mom's freezing. You saw what happened on Christmas Eve and said nothing." She said maybe I could help for one more month. I told her no. "They don't know how to fix this without you," she said. "Then maybe they shouldn't have broken it." A week later, my dad showed up. He placed something on the porch step and drove off. Inside the bag was the scrapbook. Tucked inside was a note. I read every page. She called me grandpa. I didn't deserve it, but she meant it. That night, my daughter flipped to the last page, the drawing of my parents. She picked up a dark blue marker and began filling in the background. Tyler walked by. "What are you doing?" "Adding stars," she said, "because sometimes people need a little more light before they figure out where they're standing." We met them once, at a public park, neutral, safe. Tyler sat close to his sister the entire time. My mom gave her a coloring book and said she was sorry softly, not very well. My dad said he was proud of her artwork. My daughter colored quietly while they watched. When we left, no one cried. No one said, "Let's do this again." It was just a quiet goodbye. The truth is, I didn't do this for them. I did it because my kids needed to know exactly where I stood. They needed to see that love isn't conditional. My parents lost electricity. They lost heat. But more than anything, they lost access. My daughter still calls them grandma and grandpa sometimes, but I don't call them anything anymore, because sometimes when people show you who they really are, you don't fight it.